So we're here on page Yud, page Zion of the Otzar Yunim, and we were wondering whether the 4 cups of wine are one single mitzvah with 4 parts, or that each kos is a separate mitzvah. And we tried to prove it from the Ravid and the Orchas Chaim. They seem to assume that a bracha should be recited on all 4 cups. Now, Reuven, you asked me a question yesterday. Could you remind me of your question, if you don't mind? Oh, that was about raisin wine. Oh, yeah, about raisin wine. Okay, fine. Yeah, Reuven was wondering what bracha.
I sent you that that it seems like they say raisin wine has a Hagafen bracha.
Oh, really?
Right. So.
Okay, that's interesting because it's a product of a grape.
Right. So
right.
I'm just wondering that it still falls under Hamar Medina.
Correct. Adarabah. The fact that you make a bar priya gafen on raisin wine is more of a push to upgrade its status to that of Hamar Medina.
I see.
It gives it chashivus. Anything that you make a bar priya gafen on has extra chashivus. Okay, but let's get back to this. So the bracha is a bracha on Daled Kosos. One bracha, asher kitshanu v'tzosav v'tzivanu, lishtos arba kosos. For technical reasons, the Rishonim are going to tell us that we don't make that bracha. We'll go through the 2 reasons again as a review of yesterday. But the bottom line is that these Rishonim are of the opinion that you would make a bracha on all 4 kosos. One bracha, which indicates, like in the case of tzitzis, that there's one mitzvah that has 4 parts to it. What are the technical reasons we don't recite that bracha? So we have one reason, which is the fact that he's mitzvah v'omed on Kiddush, so that if he would make a bracha on Kiddush as part and parcel of Shtiyas Arba Kosos, it would be very misleading. It's almost Mechzik Shikra, because he really has to drink that first cup of Kiddush irrelevant to and regardless of the mitzvah of Daled Kosos. And the second technicality was that you can only make a bracha on a mitzvah she'ein la hafsaka, which means that the bracha has to be chal on the Maisa mitzvah. But if you begin the mitzvah and then you take a break, an interruption, then the bracha will not be chal on the Maisa mitzvah because you have a hefsek in between. Like, for example, if you shecht many animals, one bracha will cover all the shchitos as long as there was no hefsek. And now what we're saying is that between each bracha we have hefsekos. And as I mentioned yesterday, the most profound example of that would be between the second and the third kos, where you have a whole Suda, Shulchan Aruch. But even regardless of the Shulchan Aruch, the fact that each kos has its own bracha, that separates one kos from the other. So therefore, the Avodah Zarah argues you can't have a bracha on Daled Kosos because the bracha won't be chal in the Maisa mitzvah. Now, I want to make 2 comments on this as we go along. Comment number 1 is, what are you going to tell me about Sfiras HaOmer? Let's say each day is a separate mitzvah. So you're going to, let's go the other way around. Let's say that all 49 days forms one mitzvah. So you can make a bracha at the beginning of the 49 days. And that'll be chal on all 49 days, all Sfiros, but there's a hefsek in between. So I don't know how you're going to deal with that. In fact, from Sfiras Omer, I might assume that if you have one mitzvah that's made up of many, many different segments, different parts, maybe you should make a bracha over and over again, each time over Lasiyah. So you're going to make 49 brachas on Tzvius Omer, even according to that man, the Omer, there's one mitzvah. But you need multiple brachos because of the hefsekos. But point number two, we have a case where it's impossible to make a bracha on the Maisa mitzvah. And I'm going to prove to you that in such a case, we make the bracha after the Maisa mitzvah, when it's completed. And that's the famous Gemara about Ger, a non-Jew who comes to be Misgayer, makes a bracha on Gerus, but he can't make the bracha before the Gerus because how could he recite a Shirkin Shanu Mitzvoso? Akati Gavra Delo Chazi. Right now, he's not chayiv in mitzvahs, he's a guy. So Kosos points out that it's okay that he makes the bracha after he emerges from the mikveh as a Jew. So you see that in a case where it's impossible to make the bracha before the mitzvah, you make the bracha after the mitzvah. So if, let's say, because of the hefsekos between each one of the Dalit Kosos, you can't make the bracha before the first kos, then you should be able to make the bracha after the fourth kos. And the bracha will be attached to the fourth kos. But when I think about it, I reject this. What you call hu mosiv law, hu mafarik law, because even if he were to recite the bracha after the fourth kos, it would be connected to the fourth kos, but it wouldn't be connected to the third and the second and the first because of the hefsekos. So therefore, we don't make a bracha. But again, getting back to our original point, if not for these technical barriers and impediments, we would make a bracha on Dalid Kosos, one bracha, which indicates that all four Kosos are part of one mitzvah. But yet, as we said, the Gemara explicitly says, Kol kosa v'kosa, mitzvah b'yapi nafsha. So how are we going to learn that Gemara? And that's the paragraph here that starts with Al Divrei HaRishonim, which is on the left column here on page Zion, and it's the second major paragraph. Al Divrei HaRishonim kosher miloshen HaGemara kol chad mitzvah b'yapi nafsha. So now he quotes Rabbeinu David. Takones Chazali shesiya shal arba kosos derech cherus. Shem shosa kos echad o shtayim lo osa v'lo klum. Wow. Look at that language of Rabbeinu David. You can't get more explicit than that. Lo osa v'lo klum. I don't know why he says shtayim and not sholosh. Is he telling me that if he has sholosh, he has rov? I don't know. But probably means 1, 2, 3, lo osa v'lo klum. Very strong, extreme language. He gets nothing. It's all or nothing. So what do we do with the Gemara? The Gemara says, Kol chada v'chada mitzvah v'anpei nafshe. Kevan shetiknu kol chad l'mitzvaso, zel l'kiddush, zel l'sipra agoda, zel l'birkas hamazon, zel l'hala, kol echad hu nechshav li'atzmo. The ein mitztarfim ze im zel inyan zugos. I think what he's saying is that the kol chad v'chad mitzvah b'ampei nafshe is just a way of saying that there's no zugos. The Gemara didn't mean to say that each kos is a mitzvah unto itself, independent of the other kosos. Because he says explicitly, Rabbeinu David, that im shosa kos echad o shtayim lo osa v'lo klum. But rather, what it means is that it's not zugos. There is some separation between each kos. And zugos is only when you do two in one gulp, in one shot. Now he quotes the Maharal Miprag. He quotes the Maharal, who quotes, no, this doesn't make any sense. He quotes the Rashash. Rashash was way after the Maharal Miprag. So who is the Gvurus Hashem? Maybe it's the Shagas Aryeh. I'm not sure. I have to research that. Lochiach midivrei Gemara shekol kosi mitzvah b'fnei atzmo, because v'nira she'en lilmod mizeh. Delo amrinon shekol echa v'echa mitzvah b'fnei atzmo, rak l'inyan zeh di'en harba kosos shtiya achas. V'yebehem zugos, el kol echa v'echa tam b'fnei atzmo. V'yein bazeh zugos. V'kol v'kol ma'akvim zeh zeh. So once again, we see in the Gvuras Hashem that it's not four independent mitzvahs, it's one mitzvah, and kol chad mitzvah b'yapi nafshi is only to remove the problem of zugos. Now he quotes the Magen Avraham. Mishi yesh lo rak shnei kosos, yikach achas l'kiddush, v'yachas l'birkas hamazon. Now, if we only had that statement, and the Magen Avraham would stop here, if we would stop him in the middle of a sentence, then I think we would say that according to Magen Avraham, you need all four kosos. And he agrees with the Shita of Rabbeinu David and the Gvuras Hashem. He only says that if you have two kosos, what should you do with those two kosos? So he says, well, we have a general mitzvah the whole year round of koshel kiddush, koshel birkas hamazon. That's what you should do. The kos of Gal Yisrael or of Hallel is specific to the mitzvah of Dalet Kosos, but he doesn't have Dalet Kosos. He forfeits that mitzvah. But then if he goes on, he says, well, what happens if he has three kosos? He says, Yikach achas l'kiddush. This is probably what we call ein over mela mitzvahs. In other words, use the first opportune moment. V'al kol sheni yomer agoda ad gol yisrael v'al shlishi yivarech birkas hamazon. V'achar kach yomer chatzi hal below kos. V'dvar mavur shel kol kosi mitzvah v'nei atzma v'mishi yachol lishtos pachos me'arba kosos chayv v'ma sheyesh lo. So why does he have a kos of Gal Yisrael? Apparently, you are mekayim that mitzvah of kos. So each kos is a mitzvah unto itself. That's the Magen Avraham. Now he quotes the Chok Yaakov. Misha yesh lo rak shnei kosos yikadesh b'leil yotef rishon al kos achas ves hakos hashniya yishmor leleil yotef sheni. So in Chutz La'aretz, when you have 2 days of Yontif, you want to guarantee that you'll be able to fulfill the mitzvah of Kiddush. So you'll save the second kos for the second night of Pesach to make Kiddush. And that takes precedence. Mish yesh lo arba kosos yishtes kulam b'layla shel yontif rishon. So again, I think what he's saying is that if he has an opportunity to fulfill the mitzvah of Dalet Kosos, even though he's going to have to forfeit the mitzvah of Kiddush on the second night of Pesach, the mitzvah of Dalet Kosos trumps the mitzvah of Kiddush of the second night, probably because of mitzvah b'aliyot al tach mitzena. Right now, I have a mitzvah. I don't have to worry about tomorrow. I have to fulfill the mitzvah that's obligatory today. Mishi yesh lo b'yontif sheni rak shnei kosos yishte achas lekiddush v'achas lebirkas hamazon. So what's his problem? Udvarav tzrichim bir. Im arba kosei mitzvah achas madua chayiv lishtos Shtei Kosos im Elo Arba. See, I would have written it differently. Madua chayav lishto shalosh kosos im Elo Arba. And he drinks the third kos as Gal Yisrael. That would be a kasha. Mitzvah b'fnei atzma. That's why he drinks the third kos as Gal Yisrael if he has three kosos. Madu b'leil yontif sheni odif al leil yontif rishon rakim elo arba kosos. In other words, I think what the Magen Avraham is saying is that each kos is a mitzvah b'fnei atzma. But nevertheless, if you have all four kosos, then you upgrade the mitzvah and you add another kiyum, another dimension to the mitzvah. So if you have less than arba kosos, you have a low-grade mitzvah. And therefore, Kiddush of the second night trumps that low-grade mitzvah of Dalit Kosos, because you don't have four Kosos. So as far as taking two Kosos for the first night, one for Kiddush and one for Birkas HaMazon, that has nothing to do with Dalit Kosos. No, you can't say that. Not that it doesn't have anything to do with Dalit Kosos. It's a partial mitzvah of Dalit Kosos. So that partial mitzvah of Dalit Kosos does not trump the mitzvah of Kiddush of the second night.
Rabbi Son, we're going on the assumption that the wine is diluted to the maximum, I assume, to be good. And then another point is, yesterday, I think it was yesterday, the question was raised of being Yotzi Hallel if Hallel is said at a different location. So I'm wondering, by Kiddush, can you go to your neighbor and hear Kiddush and then continue your Seder at your table, your own table, and for that matter, for all the Arba Kosot, if you're short on wine.
I think I would change your question a little bit, because as far as Kiddush is concerned, any Kiddush Makom Suda, I can't go to your house and be Yotzei Kiddush and then come to my house and eat the Suda.
Sure.
Well, I could maybe what I could do is eat the Suda at your house, or at least part of the Suda, be Kovea Suda. So then you have to know about Shini Makom and, But again, I just want to see, if you don't mind, I just want to make some sense out of this presentation here. He says the following again. Mishi yesh lo rak shnei kosos. Yikadish b'leil yontif rishon al kos achas v'sakos shnei yishmar l'leil yontif sheni. Why? Because the mitzvah of Kiddush of Yontif Sheni takes precedence over Dalit Kosos in a case where he cannot fulfill all Dalit Kosos. But again, we said that if he has Sholosh Kosos, then he will designate one kos for Gal Yisrael. So we see that every kos is a mitzvah b'fnei atzma. So I suspect, again, this might be a little bit of a problem, that the original formulation here, the Magen Avraham, in the paragraph that starts with Kosav, he's talking about a case where there is no Yontif Sheni. Just 1 second. No. Right, he doesn't mention Yontif Sheni in the first paragraph. Am I right? Yeah, there's no mention of Yontif Sheni. So let's assume that by Yontif Sheni he'll have access to wine, or maybe he's talking about Eretz Yisrael where there is no Yontif Sheni, whatever it might be. Now we get to the Chok Yaakov, and we introduce the issue of Yontif Sheni. And we say the following: if he has 2 kosos, then he wants to be Mekayim the mitzvah of Kiddush. And that takes precedence, because Kiddush is not only part of Daled Kosos, but it's a separate mitzvah of Kiddush. And that's going to trump Daled Kosos. So you should take the second kos and designate it for tomorrow's Kiddush. Okay, now he has 4 kosos. And if he drinks all 4 in the first night, he will forfeit the mitzvah of Kiddush tomorrow night. But it doesn't matter, because now he has the full-fledged mitzvah of Daled Kosos. And today, he's Chaim in Daled Kosos. What's going to be for tomorrow in Kiddush? He doesn't have to worry about tomorrow. That's not his headache. Afshalo Yisharlo Liyontiv Sheni Kla. Umisha Yeshlo Biyontiv Sheni Elrak Shnei Kosos. The language is a little bit strange, but okay. It should say Misha Ein Lo Biyontiv Sheni Elo Shnei Kosos. Yishta Achas Lebirkas Kiddush V'Achas Lebirkas Hamazon. I don't know why he says it on Yontif Sheni. He would say the same thing on Yontif Rishon. That's what we saw in the previous paragraph. Okay, fine. So that's what I think is the pshat in the Magen Avraham. Now he quotes the Shvus Yaakov. Until now it was the Chok Yaakov, correct? Yeah. I have one of these 2 svarim. I don't remember which one. I think I have the Chok Yaakov. Anyway. Excuse me for just 1 second. Okay. So now we're on page Ches. Es Dvarov hu bier b'shvus Yaakov. Sha'af shemishi yesh lo arba kosos shoses kula b'layla rishona af shelo yishar lo layla sheni shum kos mnuchal lomar mikol makom yontif rishon adif. Why? So I thought because it's the first day, it's the first opportunity. He doesn't say why right now. He says umekachu mekayim hamidag shas al pismach mikra arba geulos. Whoa. That's gibberish to me. But Mekayim Hamidag Hashas Al Pi Smach Mikra Arba Geulos. Arba Geulos must be the Arba Lashonos of Geula. Oh, you know what I think he's saying? He's saying that the mitzvah of Daled Kosos, when it's fulfilled b'shleimus, even though each kos is a mitzvah unto itself, that's why if he has only 3 kosos, he'll be Mekayim 3 out of the 4. But nevertheless, if he has all 4 kosos, that upgrades his mitzvah to such an extent that it trumps the mitzvah of Kiddush. Achim einu yochel l'kayim klal mitzvahs harba kosos, yesh lishmar kos achas l'mitzvahs Kiddush al yontiv sheni. So if he has only a partial mitzvah of Daled Kosos, like for example, if he has 3 out of 4, then he should guarantee that one of those Kosos is left for Kiddush on the next night. Because he doesn't have this special kiyum, this dimension of Arba Lashonos Shel Geula. But if he has all 4 Kosos, and he could avail himself and achieve the kiyum of Daled Lashonos Shel Geula, that trumps the mitzvah of Kiddush. Al divrei Chok Yaakov Kos Eliyahu Rabba shedvarav dechukim lechalek bein arba kosos l'shnayim. All right. So the Eliyahu Rabbah rejects this idea that there's a separate kiyum of having all four kosos. We divrei Magen Avram Eliyahu Rabbah ola she'ein ma'ila miyuchedes b'shtiyas arba kosos. Again, I didn't see that in the Magen Avram, but that certainly is the opinion of the Eliyahu Rabbah. So in other words, if you take this logic of kol kos havi mitzvah b'fnei atzma to its conclusion, then there's no special additional dimension or kiyum to daled kosos as an entity of four kosos. Again, that's one opinion. It's not the opinion of the Chok Yaakov, of the Shvus Yaakov. Yesha rotzel ochiach mi divrei Chok Yaakov shekol hakosos hem rak mitzvah achas, which I guess means that you cannot fulfill less than four. The lachein im yochel lekayim es kulam yikayim b'leil yontif rishon. Yeah, but what are we going to do with the case where he has only three kosos? Where the Magen Avram says explicitly that he designates one kos for Gal Yisrael. So I don't know. Im yesh bershusa rak shnei kosos, v'eina yochel lekayim mitzvos arba kosos, ol l'shmor kos achas l'leil yontif sheni. Ulam gam Chok Yaakov eskim l'divrei Magen Avram, shemishi yesh lo sholosh kosos, ol l'shtosh shtei kosos v'yontif rishon. He's assuming that if you have three kosos, then one of them has to be designated for Kiddush on the second night. I mean, we thought the Magen Avram is talking about a case where there is no Yontif Sheni problem. But if there is a Yontif Sheni problem, that's what he's pointing out now, he would have to designate that third kos for Kiddush on Yontif Sheni. Oh, this is what we were saying. Din echad shemekayim rak kishashosas kol arba kos yeshna gam din shemekayim kishashosa kol kos v'kos b'fnei atzma. Tzvei din. This is a classic Brisker kind of definition. L'cheinim yochol lishtos rak chelik me'akos so lishtos mashu yochol, and he's mekayim the din of each kos separately. However, the chovas kiddush in that case trumps the mitzvah of daled kosos because he doesn't have the full-fledged kiyum of daled kosos. Ulam im yochel lekayim es adin shel arba kosos. He has all four. That trumps the mitzvah of kiddush on Yontif Sheni. He wants to say that the extra kiyum of daled kosos is derech cherus, the kiyum of derech cherus, based on the Brisker Rav. That's what he has in the foot. I mean, we would say based on the Amudei Hod that it's a kiyum of arba l'shona shel geula. Now, what about a fifth kos? I know in Lubavitch they're very careful about a fifth kos. So the Mishnah says, "Revi gomer olav esahal, vi omer olav birchas hashir." And the Bryce on Kuf Yud Ches says, "Torah Rabbanan Revi gomer olav esahalel, vi omer olav hala gadol divrei Rabbi Tarfa, v'yesh omrim Hashem roi lo echson." So the girsa that we have is Revi. We don't have any mention in our text of Chamishi. But in truth, there are different girsos. Nechleku Rishonim. According to one opinion, the girsa is Revi. That's what we have. But then there's another girsa that says Chamishi. Shalkos Chamishi gomer esahalel. So what's the kos Revi? So apparently there's something called shir before he gets to Hallel. And on the shear, he drinks the fourth kos, and then on the halal, on the Gemar halal, he drinks the fifth kos. L'das also rishonim shelo gorsim chamishi. According to our girsa, which is Revi, there is no such thing as kosim. L'das rishonim shegorsim chamishi. Mao yisod chiyuv kos zeh. What is the nature of this fifth kos if the girsa is 5 and not 4? So Kosos is of the opinion that the girsa is Revi, not chamishi. The Rashbam says that the girsa is Revi. Kosos brings an opinion that the girsa is chamishi. V'tomu, and they ask, but ha arba kosos tkinu v'lo chamesh. We have a takana of 4 kosos and not 5. So what is this fifth kos? Oh, so this is going to be the distinction between shear and halal. That's in the paragraph Omnon. Mao halal gadol v'siyam arif min hagadi alma. This is based on Rabbi Yehuda's Shita that bebirchas hashir ubehalal gadol. You see that distinction between shear and halal. So apparently the kos Revi is on shear and the kos chamishi is on halal. Oh, so now we get up to the paragraph Ulam on the left column on page Ches. Haramban Yishev Eshitas Arif. Achar shenisbar das asom shlonecha katana b'mishnah in Rabbi Tarfon. So I guess it's Rabbi Tarfon. Let's go back and see Rabbi Tarfon. Oh, Rabbi Tarfon has kos chamishi. So he says that lo nechla katana b'mishnah in Rabbi Tarfon. So why does it say 4 kosos, v'lo chamesh kosos, if everybody agrees to Rabbi Tarfon? And he says that arba kos is chova and kos chamishi is rishus. So the Mishnah only mentions the chova and leaves out the rishus. So it's an optional mitzvah to drink a fifth kos. El kosav Ramban im rotzo lishtos yikra v'im lav lo yishta. The kevan sha'asru lishtos achar arba kosos lo rotzu chazal lesar legamri l'chein itiru lo kos chamishi berichu olav es haderech likro olav halal gadol. So apparently it's not so simple to drink a fifth kos. So what does it mean? It's a mitzvah kiyumis, it's a reshus. How do we reconcile this? He says that although there's a problem in drinking a fifth kos, the Chazal did not want to prohibit it. He tirulo kos chamishi, but only on condition that herichu olav esaderech likro olav halagodol. So I don't know exactly what he means by herichu olav esaderech. That's a strange kind of phrase. But I guess it means they made a long hefsek, an interruption between the fourth and the fifth kosos. And what was that long interruption? To read the Hala Gadol, with all the Hodul Hashem Kitovs and everything else. And the Ramban apparently is learning that that's the way that Chazal were matir, drinking a fifth kos for somebody who wants to drink a fifth kos. But Misha ain't a rotza lishtos. If he's not interested in drinking a fifth kos, then he's not allowed to drink a fifth kos. And it's not a mitzvah at all. I thought that he's motivated to drink a fifth kos because he wants to read the Hala Gadol. No, it doesn't work like that. The Hala Gadol comes as a secondary framework, allowing him to drink the fifth kos because he wants to drink a fifth kos. I mean, I don't know. For me, 4 kosses is more than enough. And the Gemara speaks about Amoraim who had headaches, until Shavuos when they drank 4 kosses. But apparently there's some people who want to drink a fifth kos. So they allowed it by adding Hala Gadol. So there's an interruption between the 4th and the 5th kos. Because if there's no interruption, he drinks the 5th kos after the 4th, that's called Mosif ala Kosos. That's like a Baltosif. He's adding to the mitzvah of 4 kos. It's interesting. He quotes in the footnote number Nun Zayin of Mordechai that Bekoshi he tiru beistinis v'chole lahosif kos chamishi. That's a pella to me. We're talking about a chole who has to drink a 5th kos. I don't know. I guess Yayin is very healthy. I don't know. Then he has an istinis who's very sensitive. I guess he gets very thirsty. Maybe the only drink they had was wine. So in order to facilitate this, that he has to drink a 5th kos, they place the Hala Gadol as a hefsek between the 4th and the 5th kos. Now he quotes the Ravid. Shlo nechak atana b'mishnah Rabbi Tarfa mishum shatana b'mishnah hevi rakes 4 kosos shem chova Rabbi Tarfa hosiv od kos akashi rishus v'hosiv Ravid lo yifchesu lo mi 4 kosos mashma rakim lo yifchesu aval hosiv aleim chamishi areza mishum. So we only have to supply the ani with 4 kosos because those are the kosos of chova, but there's a rishus and apparently a cube to drink a fifth kos. He says, "L'das haravid afsha ein kosu chova mikomakom mitzvah kiyumis vareza mishuma." So he's praiseworthy for adding a 5th kos. So it's not the way the Ramban said it, that he desperately wants to drink a 5th kos. He's an istis or a chola, and therefore they gave him harochas derech to separate the 4th and 5th kos, so they gave him hala gadol. The Ravid seems to say that we might even advocate in favor of drinking a fifth kos, although it's not obligatory, but he achieves a kiyum mitzvah. Then he quotes the Ran, who says that mitzvah min muvchar lishtos kos chamishi, the lower all of halagadol. So it sounds like the Ran is not even talking about an istinus or a chola. He's saying for every single Jew, it's very laudable to drink a fifth kos and recite halagadol. And the Rambam writes, Yesh lo limzo kos chamishi, kos ein chova. But there is a mitzvah of kos chamishi. I don't know, in the light of all these shittas, I wonder why we don't drink a fifth kos. Maybe we're afraid of getting sick. I don't know. So in the next paragraph, he has a concept called cherus. And he says the more you drink, if it's after the Suda, so it's not litzorach achila, it's not integrated into his eating, then it becomes derech cherus. It's like a rich person, a free person will drink even after the Suda. So if you drink 2 cups after the Suda, that means 4 and 5, that's a kiyum of derech cherus. Now, how do we take the 5th kos and make it into derech cherus? By adding halagon. He now summarizes, das Rashbam Tosfos ein klal din shel kos chamishi. Balamor says that it's machlok shin Rabbi Tarfon and the Tan. And we paskin that halach is like the Tanakama against Rabbi Tarfon. There's no 5th kos. The Ramban holds that there's a 5th kos, but only because he needs that 5th kos physically. The Ravid and the Ran hold Haresim is Shumach and possibly the Rambam, and it's a mitzvah min muvchar. All right, so let's make a note of where we get up to here. We're up to Nechleku Arishon. Okay, then, so we'll stop here.